Good morning everybody, it's Thursday today. Lovely snow outside again if you're looking, but not so much if you're going to be outside, but hopefully the forecast seems to be for rain coming on in the afternoon, so hopefully that will sort out the snow and we'll be able to walk out a wee bit more easily again. So just finished another hour and a half of a Session Clerk's meeting, so that's 3 meetings in 3 days. But finding them quite helpful, and they're keeping us informed of what's going on. So lots of paperwork and things to catch up with, but we'll get on to that soon. So not much else to report, I don't think. I didn't put the tradecraft details in the West Kirk Weekly last night. I will put that in next week. I left the message from the finance team in for another week, and next week I'll give you details of the tradecraft and the ways that they're hoping to try and raise some funds, because they can't do any other fundraising, coffee mornings or anything like that. So I know I did tell you 1 week, I won't go into the details again, but I will put that on the West Kirk Weekly next week. So it was any costume jewellery or jewellery that you wanted to hand in, or raffle tickets were going to be in sale, and if you want to help out with that, then please let us know. So we have been reading the story of Joseph, and we're now on to Joseph Interprets the King's Dreams. After 2 years had passed, the king of Egypt dreamed that he was standing by the Nile River, when 7 cows, fat and sleek, came up out of the river and began to feed on the grass. Then 7 other cows came up. They were thin and bony. They came and stood by the other cows on the river bank, and the thin cows ate up all the fat cows. Then the king woke up. He fell asleep again and had another dream. 7 heads of grain, full and ripe, were growing on one stalk. Then 7 other heads of grain sprouted, thin and scorched by the desert wind, and the thin heads of grain swallowed the full ones. The king woke up and realised he had been dreaming. In the morning he was worried, so he sent for all the magicians and wise men of Egypt. He told them his dreams, but no one could explain them to him. Then the wine steward said to the king, "I must confess today that I have done wrong. You were angry with the chief baker and me, and you put us in prison in the house of the captain of the guard. One night each of us had a dream, and the dreams had different meanings. A young Hebrew was there with us, a slave of the captain of the guard. We told him our dreams, and he interpreted them for us. Things turned out just as he said. You restored me to my position, but you executed the baker." The king sent for Joseph, and he was immediately brought from the prison. After he had shaved and changed his clothes, he came into the king's presence. The king said to him, "I've had a dream, and no one can explain it. I have been told that you can interpret dreams." Joseph answered, "I cannot, your majesty, but God will give a favourable interpretation." The king said, "I dreamt that I was standing on the bank of the Nile when 7 cows, fat and sleek, came up out of the river and began to feed on the grass. Then 7 other cows came up, which were thin and bony. They were the poorest cows I've ever seen anywhere in Egypt. The thin cows ate up the fat ones, but no one would have known it because they looked just as bad as before. Then I woke up. I also dreamed that I saw 7 heads of grain which were full and ripe, growing on one stalk. Then 7 heads of grain sprouted, thin and scorched by the desert wind, and the thin heads of grain swallowed the full ones. I told the dreams to the magicians, but none of them could explain them to me." Joseph said to the king, "The 2 dreams mean the same thing. God has told you what he is going to do. The 7 fat cows are 7 years, and the 7 full heads of grain are also 7 years. They have the same meaning. The 7 thin cows which came up later and the 7 thin heads of grain scorched by the desert wind are 7 years of famine. It is just as I told you. God has shown you what he is going to do. There will be 7 years of great plenty in all the land of Egypt. After that there will be 7 years of famine, and all the good years will be forgotten, because the famine will ruin the country. The time of plenty will be entirely forgotten, because the famine which follows will be so terrible. The repetition of your dream means that the matter is fixed by God and that He will make it happen in the near future. Now, you should choose some man with wisdom and insight and put him in charge of the country. You must also appoint other officials and take 1/5 of the crops during the 7 years of plenty. Order them to collect all the food during the good years that are coming and give them authority to store up grain in the cities and guard it. The food will be a reserve supply for the country during the 7 years of famine, which are going to come on Egypt. In this way, the people will not starve. Amen. And God bless this reading from Genesis chapter 41, and we will hear the rest of that chapter tomorrow. I don't know about you, but I can't read this chapter particularly of Genesis without the songs from Joseph's Technicolor Dreamcoat coming into my head. I can hear the singing, Elvis singing about the famine about to occur. So I hope everybody's doing all right. Not much else to report, I don't think. You can let me know if there's anything you want to find out about, or you can let me know if there's anything you want to pass on to anyone else. Apart from that, hope everybody's doing okay, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.